Good day everyone. So today I'm going to discuss about chapter 5 lesson 4, which is the activity-based learning methods. I am Marielle Kaye Selpides, BSED English 2A. Activity-based learning strategy in instructing English language using fiction is based on an active learning approach where students are engaged in different activities that involve the use of language. So this is what we call active learning approach, where you let your students learn by doing. You don't just talk all throughout the period or throughout your class session, but you also let them experience it themselves. It is said that we remember a decimal of 25 to 50% of what we hear. So if you only just discuss the topics without doing anything, it won't be that effective, right? So you have to think of any activities that would add up to their learning experiences. So the suggested activities include are number 1, discussion or brainstorming. So the teacher asks the shown picture or title of the book and allows the students to brainstorm ideas on what the book could be about based on the illustrations. The teacher provides guide questions for discussions in pair or groups. Students read or discuss with the rest of the class, and the text in creative means based on the guide questions. So, discussion or brainstorming is an activity that you, as a teacher, will ask any related question to your topic, like what if, or how, or why do you think that the story of this one is this one? So it'll boost their comprehension, their own creative ideas about your topic. So the discussion will be effective because you let your students engage with your topic. So the target language skills that will enhance them is their reading, listening, speaking, and their grammar. Next activity suggested is story retelling and story completion. So after reading, students are given a chance to retell the story creatively. This is done through a video presentation, role play, creative reading, songwriting, or singing, etc. So here in story retelling, this is an activity where students listen to or read a story and then retell it in their own words or own creative way. Diba? When you let your students do the role play, they retell the story with an action. So it'll boost their not just their speaking skills but also their memory and sequencing the story, what will be the setup, any creative thing that they can do. So it still depends. You can choose whether you want them to do a video presentation. You can let them do creative reading or songwriting where they reflect the story through a song or through singing. So next is for story completion. The students are asked to write an alternative ending to the story and present it to the rest of the class. This enhances their creativity and decision making. So here you let your students be creative on how to finish or how to better end a story. So they share their ideas, they suggest something that are better for the story. Yeah, so the target language skills here is the reading, listening, vocabulary, and speaking. So next is conducting interviews. So interview simulation is a way to gather information and research more about the text. Before reading, the teacher uses the theme or concept of the text and the science students to conduct an interview that is relevant to the theme or concept. After reading, the students may be involved in interviews with people who represent the characters of the story or the subject of the non-fictional prose. So interview simulation is not that very used a kind of activity because it depends whether this kind of activity is related to your topic, where you have to conduct an interview for a relevant theme or concept, or interviews with people who represent the characters of a story. So this is not commonly used, but at least you also have an idea that there can be a conducting as interview simulation for your activity. Next kind of interview is the simulation activities. Different simulation activities help the students to understand the reading material better. So this include presentations, panel discussions, talk shows, news reporting, filmmaking, or other activities that help the students understand the concept or story better, relate with them, and perform as an outcome of the learning. So for sure, when we are in high school, you also experience this kind of activity, which are talk shows where you kind of do a role play that you interview someone, kind of like a Jimmy Fallon show, which will be related also to the topic. It depends on what will be the talk show all about. So it also have news reporting, where we also experience how news reporting are done. So we use a background music, script, an issue. You will also learn how to talk in a tone that a news reporter does. Then filmmaking, where we just recently done it. The advantage of making a film is you learn how to create stories, how will you outline them, how it will be engaging to the viewers, how will it end, who are the cast, what will be the setting. So it's not just the reading, writing, listening, or speaking skills that will enhance when you make a film. There are much more. Your editing skills. Yes. So those are simulation activities. Fourth one is the general strategies. General strategies is yung commonly talagang ginagamit when it comes to reading a story and analyze them. So, first one is the character analysis. So, in analyzing the character, the teacher needs to ask the students to pay attention to the characters and how the author portrays the characters. The teacher directs the student to identify the character. Based on the characterization, asks them if they can point out internal conflict within the character. Diba, we've already discussed previously about the characterization, where there are different kinds or types of character in a story. Next is plot analysis. So in analyzing the plot, teachers need to ask the students to pay attention to the plot and let the students identify the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. So, analyzing the plot allows students to discover how the characters are portrayed and developed. It also makes them realize the conflict. You may ask the students to make some predictions or ask a hypothetical question, such as, if you were to end the story, how would you end it? Next is point of view analysis. In analyzing the point of view, teachers need to ask the students to pay attention to the narrator. Let the students analyze who is telling the story. Some techniques in spotting the first-person narrative are the use of the personal pronoun I, me, and my. So we've already discussed this too. What are the kinds of point of view? So you already know about it. So that is how you let your students identify them too. So in identifying a second-person narrative, the author wants the reader to get involved with the story. So the use of you or your is the key to making this happen. Most of the narration is done in the third-person narrative, where the author describes the characters either as omniscient or limited observers. Yes, the personal pronouns he, she, they, it are commonly used. So those are the point of view analysis. Again, these are when the teachers need to ask the students to pay attention to the narrator and let the students analyze who is telling the story. So last one is the setting analysis. So in analyzing the setting, the teachers need to direct the students to understand the time, place, or location where the story takes place. So the setting can also point to a particular period in some historical fiction. So that's all. So to conclude, activity-based learning methods foster a more engaging, effective, and enjoyable learning experience. By actively involving students in their lessons, ABL helps develop not only their literacy skills, but also their overall cognitive and social abilities. There are suggested activities and also varieties of activities that you as a teacher can make as long as it is an activity that you let your students experience it themselves. Because again, when you just discuss it, only 25% to 50% are internalized or are remembered. So it's better to kind of stretch their brain muscles while inside your class. So that's all. Again, I'm Kaye Selpides. Thank you so much. Hope you learned something. Bye!